you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Since Day One. Before we get into this video update today about Lisa Van Allen as well as R.Kelly, and last but not least, we have R.Kelly's goddaughter Jane. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, and if you are new, smash that subscribe button to take flight with us.
Fake love, I don't need it, you can keep it as a fact. I had to make up my mind. I took that weight on my shoulder. I done been down.
Before we got into this video, you guys, I just wanted to apologize for not releasing day 8 of R. Kelly's Chicago federal trial. I was not able to really make the video because my daughter had surgery, and unfortunately I had to skip yesterday. However, here is day 9 of R. Kelly's Chicago federal trial, and whenever I'm able to get the court transcripts concerning Charles Freeman's testimony, then I will update y'all on that part. But until then, we are just going to continue on with day 9, and today we have Lisa Van Allen on the stand. It is being said that Lisa Van Allen is the only witness who testified in R. Kelly's 2008 Chicago state trial and is now also testifying in his federal Chicago trial in 2022. So I hope you guys are looking forward to her testimony. We also have Dennis Byron in the house today. I have some of his tweets as well as a few other tweets from other journalists who are covering the R. Kelly trial. But Dennis starts off saying that they are live back in the courtroom for the trial of R. Kelly McDavid Brown, where the government has already complained to the judge about people in the gallery that have made sounds during testimony. The judge has warned people not to do so or they will be kicked out. There are motions being made right now by defense attorney Mary Judge, who represents Milton Brown, regarding the upcoming testimony of the next witness. Jurors just entered the courtroom. Witness Lawrence Beaumont just took the stand, who is an attorney and a polygraph examiner. R. Kelly's first defense attorney, Ed Jensen, hired Lawrence in 2007, the year before R. Kelly's Cook County trial, to administer polygraphs, he testifies. At Jensen's request, Beaumont gave polygraph tests to Lisa Van Allen and Keith Morrell, he testified. Both Van Allen and Morrell are expected to take the stand later in the trial and talk about their efforts to recover tapes showing R. Kelly with Jane. The polygraph tests relate to the obstruction charges. Prosecutors allege they demonstrate the lengths R. Kelly's team went to buy the tapes back and keep them secret. One of the polygraph tests was administered at Beaumont's office in the Monodoc building, which incidentally I can see from the window of the overflow room as I type this. The witness has testified that he administered polygraph exams to witness Keith Morrell and Lisa Van Allen. He also testified that both have lied on some questions and told the truth on other questions. On cross-examination, McDavid attorney Vadim Glosman emphasizing how prominent Jensen is. Part of their argument is that McDavid was merely carrying out direction from R. Kelly's well-respected legal team. Glosman incidentally worked closely with Jensen before Jensen's death. Under cross-examination, R. Kelly by attorney Glosman, witness has just testified that he was a former federal prosecutor who worked in the same office where at one point in time as the current U.S. prosecutors. This witness has completed his testimony. Now on the stand is Lisa Van Allen testifying for the prosecution. Lisa Van Allen has taken the stand, who has said she is 41 years old and has dated R. Kelly. She testified that she has received immunity in the 2008 trial. Lisa Van Allen also testified against R. Kelly at his Cook County proceedings back in 2008. I think she might be the only witness to take the stand at both that trial and this trial. Van Allen testifies that she met R. Kelly at a video shoot in 1998 when she was 18. They had relations in his trailer, and later on she went to Chicago to see him again, she says. Lisa Van Allen eventually moved to Chicago not long afterward. R. Kelly kept making her miss her flights when she visited, she said. I told him I couldn't keep missing my flights, I'll get fired. He asked me what did I make, and I told him. He ended up just giving me the cash. R. Kelly often directed her what to do and what to say when they were having relations, Van Allen testifies, and would sometimes videotape their encounters. R. Kelly did not allow her to speak to or make eye contact with other men and would hit her if she didn't listen to Daddy, Van Allen testifies. Lisa Van Allen met Jane, R. Kelly's goddaughter, in 1998. Jane would have to have been 14 or 15 at the time, but R. Kelly told Van Allen she was 16, Van Allen says. The three of them had an encounter in the log cabin room, which R. Kelly filmed with a camcorder on a tripod, says Lisa Van Allen. In 1999, the three had filmed another encounter. Lisa Van Allen did not want to participate and started crying, she says. R. Kelly said, what was he going to do with this? I guess because it wouldn't have been good footage to watch if I'm on there crying. crying. From the R.Kelly courtroom, Lisa Van Allen is testifying calmly but appeared to be somewhat nervous, swiveling in her chair and pausing often to sip from a water bottle. Her face grew very somber when she began talking about the threesome with Jane. Lisa Van Allen has looked at R.Kelly only once when she was asked to identify him in court. Although the defense said they'd stipulate, Van Allen had already started to point at him in the defense table in a dark gray suit. She pulled her hand back and gave a little whoops expression. R.Kelly would carry around his VHS tapes in a duffel bag, says Lisa Van Allen. You could hear them shuffling in the bag when he put it down or carry it or walk with it. Eventually, I went in the bag and saw them. In the year 2000, Jane told Lisa Van Allen that she would be getting a PT Cruiser for her 16th birthday. Van Allen was upset since she had been under the impression Jane was 16 2 years earlier during their first encounter. After that, Lisa Van Allen says, I didn't want to do any more threesomes. I didn't want to do the first ones, but I definitely didn't want any more encounters because she was 14. She had to be 14. At one point in 2000, Lisa Van Allen realized that she was alone with the bag full of tapes and went looking for any tapes she was on. I didn't want him in possession of them. I didn't want to do the threesomes, and I didn't want him looking at them or having them in his possession. Lisa Van Allen is crying on the stand, describing one of the tapes which showed R.Kelly and Jane together and then the three of them together. R.Kelly refers to Jane's 14-year-old body part, says Lisa Van Allen, and jurors heard that same phrase in a different footage last week. Lisa Van Allen took that tape and gave it to her friend Keith, she says. Eventually, she moved back to Atlanta, though she and R.Kelly would still stay in touch. Years later, in 2007, Lisa Van Allen learned the videotape might have been for sale. She did not want it out there and thought R.Kelly would help her get it back. He had an upcoming trial for a similar tape, and on this one, it actually said how old she was. Lisa Van Allen met R.Kelly at his Olympia Fields mansion, and R.Kelly said he would give her $250,000 to get the tape back. He also told her to deal with co-defendant Darrell McDavid from this point forward, she testified. Lisa Van Allen and Keith brought the video to Chicago and both took polygraphs. Darrell McDavid watched the video with Van Allen in a hotel room and asked her, was that all of it, she testified. During the testimony, Lisa Van Allen testified while she was in a hotel, R.Kelly left a chain with a cross and a Rolex watch behind, and that she sent the chain to Keith Morrell. She never mentioned what happened to the watch while under direct examination by prosecutor Jordan. Lisa Van Allen and Keith Morrell got $20,000 apiece from McDavid, she says. Later on, after another round of polygraphs, she got $50K and Keith got $80K. McDavid gave her less because he blamed her for having to make a payout in the first place, she testifies. McDavid later told Lisa Van Allen she had failed a third polygraph, and he said they should have murked me from the beginning. Van Allen is audibly emotional as she describes this. After that, at McDavid's behest, she made a false statement to a lawyer denying she ever had any contact with Jane. He told me to say it, and I was afraid not to do what he asked, she says. She breaks down crying. I never knew they were thinking about killing me. Lisa Van Allen said that she was upset about the comment and told McDavid she would tell R.Kelly about it. He said Rob knew everything what was going on, she says in an emotional voice. In the R.Kelly courtroom, as Lisa Van Allen was testifying through tears that Darrell McDavid told her in 2007 they should have just murked her, McDavid turned to R.Kelly, who is seated behind him, and shook his head and pursed his lips. It's the most reaction I've seen out of him. Court is about to resume with Lisa Van Allen's cross-examination. The R.Kelly jury is back, but the witness seems to be missing from the courtroom. Stay tuned. Lisa Van Allen is back on the stand. McDavid's attorney, Bew Brindley, begins the same way he did with Chuck Freeman, asking if a person who lies is someone who can be trusted, and she said depends on the circumstances where they threaten, she says. A person who feigns emotion while lying to try to manipulate others, is that a person you should trust? Brindley asked. Lisa Van Allen says she doesn't know what he's talking about. Attorney Brindley, if a person fakes emotion, should one believe that person? Answer, who would do that? Response, you. Like he did with Chuck Freeman yesterday, Brindley is confronting Lisa Van Allen with discrepancies in her previous statements to law enforcement and a grand jury, mostly about who gave McDavid the video and when and where and when it was watched. Lisa Van Allen breaks down sobbing as Brindley keeps pressing her. He asked if there is anything particularly sad about asking her about her grand jury testimony. She says, yes, I'm tired of you asking me whether I watched child tapes, she says. Brindley audibly scoffs. Brindley is now asking about Lisa Van Allen's book, Surviving the Pied Piper, The Untold Story. He asked, this book is for sale for money, right? She says, most books are, yes. He says, well, I bought it, so I suppose you got some of my money, right? She says, if you bought the book, look, thank you. He also brings up the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R.Kelly, asking Lisa Van Allen if she demanded money to appear. She says, why would I demand money to raise awareness? I love doing that. Brindley asked why, if Lisa Van Allen's goal was to keep people from seeing the tape. She didn't just destroy it after she stole it from R. Kelly's gym bag. I could have if that thought had crossed my mind, she says. Instead, she sent it to a friend in Kansas City. Brindley pointing out that unlike other tapes that the jury has seen, prosecutors do not have the tape that Lisa Van Allen claims she stole from R. Kelly, which is referred to in the indictment as video number 4. We have to rely on your word of what's on. Brindley has now twice referred to Jane by her real first name. Earlier today, Lisa Van Allen also mistakenly used her name. And last week, R. Kelly's attorneys inadvertently displayed a check written out to Jane with her first and last name. Brindley is going to show Lisa Van Allen a portion from Surviving R. Kelly where she says that when she came across the video with me and him and the 14-year-old, I watched it, and as I fast forwarded some and I see scenes with just him and her only. Brindley is trying to impeach her on her recollection, but it's a fine line. He now has repeatedly reinforced to the jury that there is a tape of R. Kelly and Van Allen and a 14-year-old girl. Dennis Byron says explosive. Witness Lisa Van Allen testimony was just impeached by defense attorney Brindley regarding what she said on the docuseries Surviving R. Kelly against what she said to a Cook County grand jury back in 2008. The inconsistency at issue is in 2008, she says she hadn't seen a tape of just R. Kelly and the 14-year-old, only tapes of their threesome. She's since told investigators and the interviewers Surviving R. Kelly that the tape she stole showed both the threesomes and R. Kelly and Jane. And now she's being asked about a Rolex that R. Kelly left behind in Lisa Van Allen's hotel room, in which Lisa kept and gave to someone else. Debating whether that constitutes stealing, Van Allen hedging, you can't steal something that was left. When asked if she stole the tape from R. Kelly, she says, how can you steal something that you are on? It's just as much mine. I'm on the tape. Brindley is asking Lisa Van Allen whether R. Kelly called her about the tape or if she called him. She says she wasn't sure, then added either way. He says it's not either way. In fact, it was only one way or the other. One thing is true and one thing is not. We are getting to the alleged threat by McDavid after Lisa Van Allen failed a polygraph. They should have murked her instead of paying her. He was a business manager, Brindley says. You didn't have any reason to believe that he was some sort of murderous accountant, did you? Brindley confronting Lisa Van Allen with their Facebook messages with Keith Morrell in 2018, where she asked if she ever told him about why she was crying. When we meet with Darrell with the tape, he said, we should have murked you from the beginning. I didn't tell you that, she wrote. The problem was, Brindley says, Van Allen previously testified that Morrell wasn't even in Chicago when it happened. It was a different meeting. Brindley says the reason for all of this changing of stories about Mr. McDavid is because the tape that you turned over to the lawyers in Chicago was not really a tape of Jane, you, and Robert. That's why the story is so screwed up, right? She says, no, it was a tape of us. Brindley just throwing out statements now in question. It was a tape of Robert and you and his wife, and that is what the whole thing is about, isn't it? She says, definitely not. I've never had any relationship with Drea ever. After prosecutors object to a series of questions, Brindley promises the judge he's leading up to his final point. All right, let's go, Lennon Weber grumbles. Brindley's final points are about Lisa Van Allen saying she was 17 when she met R. Kelly, when she actually had just turned 18. Did she know that being 17 made you a victim of a federal crime? She says, honestly, I didn't. Brindley goes on to say to Lisa Van Allen, being 17 years old allowed you to say you were a victim and a minor of Mr. Kelly. Brindley also asked her whether as an 18-year-old she was aware it was a crime to have relations with a minor. She says that was not something we were thinking of at the time. I know I wasn't, and that's it for Brindley's cross-examination. Milton Brown's attorney had a lightning quick cross. Bonjean will go tomorrow as we are adjourned for the day.
So long, sleeping from sofa to sofa. Now I'ma step on these little bitty bitches. Hit some brand new Gucci low, some Gucci walking. I got tired of eating Big Mama's chicken. Now it's business when I walk.